All right, Dirty Sports episode 816 live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Good morning, Andrew.
How's it going, Joey? How's it going?
Oh, it's going all right. It's going all right. Fun weekend of March Madness basketball. I was like, let's watch some college basketball. Who are these guys? Where are these schools? Where are these schools located? I know nothing about anything that's going on here. Me, if I am not interested in something, I will just gamble on it, and that will get me interested.
Sure.
So weekend started hot, as my strategy for the early games was fade Goldberg.
I mean, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
And then it kind of fell apart later in the weekend. Goldberg started to hit his picks, and then fading him became detrimental. So I had to eject from that plan.
I mean, he was some of the funny early Goldberg wrong prediction. He was big on Iowa.
Yeah.
Big on Iowa.
The best team I've seen since the Fab Five. They're going all the way. I think this team might win the next 7 tournaments.
So
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with Maddie. I love Maddie. We have no beef right now. No beef.
They took a hot out. And then I was also, of course, I was rooting for Memphis against Gonzaga in a very tough battle.
Dude, that game was awesome. I tweeted that. Let me just say, I want to talk about that game really quickly, specifically. That was a tough shot making bonanza.
Yeah, I've
never seen teams go back and forth more and taking shots that I couldn't believe they were taking and making them. And there was a string in the mid-second half there where it was just like, every single one of these guys is taking like NBA style tough shots and making them. That's what I like it to were they tremendous decisions? Like, well, yeah, they were tremendous decisions if they're going in, but my problem with college basketball typically is a lot of reckless shot taking and not a lot of shot making. But that game, man, guys were getting buckets. I was really enjoying that game. Yeah, and I was rooting for Memphis, obviously. Penny Hardaway. I've been a Penny Hardaway stan since Blue Chips.
There we go. I gotta take a dig at. So I was up in Michigan this weekend. I had a little getaway.
Taking a dig at Michigan?
No. I gotta take a dig at my lady, because I was up there. We had a nice little getaway. By the way, very lovely. Union Pier, Michigan, right on the lake. Weather could have been better, but whatever. Very
Michigan
lovely.
Michigan is one of the few states I have spent literally no time in. I think
you'd love it.
Michigan is like, I go back and forth whether or not Michigan is on my list of places that I haven't even visited, because I've been in Michigan, but I've been in Michigan for I've been to the airport. I've been to Detroit for like a second. So it's kind of like a borderline state that I almost consider never having been to.
Well, I think people forget. I mean, the lake, her and I kept saying this, like, dude, it's basically, it's like an ocean with waves and how
it's pretty great.
It really is. It's like a great lake. No, but I'm saying like where we were staying.
This is a great lake.
Where we were staying, you look at the water, and obviously I've spent time up there, and it's a big vacation spot for people in my neck of the woods. But you go up there, and it's just beaches, and you think, okay, the water is coming in with waves, especially when this time of year. Like somebody was what's it called? What are the guys who go in with the parachute? What's that called?
Kiteboarding.
One guy was kiteboarding, and like the waves were insane. But my point is, like, you forget when you look at that, it's crazy to think this is a lake because it's just so goddamn big. But anyway, we had a nice little getaway up there for a couple of days, and it's not even a 4-hour drive to get to a good beach up there. But we were watching that game, that Memphis Gonzaga game, and she's like, Penny Hardaway's coaching? This was her first reaction. Man, he must really be hard up for money, huh? I thought he made a lot in the NBA. And I was like, wait, that's your takeaway? Like, he's hard up for money?
Honestly, not a terrible takeaway, though.
Really?
I mean, not the world's worst takeaway. Like a guy like Penny, like I bet Penny Hardaway did make a lot of money in the NBA, right? Like, do you really need to go back and coach college basketball? I get that some of these guys, I understand it from the flip side.
It's also
some of these
where
guys
he
just,
went.
I know. And obviously he's doing a good job.
Okay. In his 14-year career, he earned around 120 million.
I mean, the dude could literally live off of interest for the rest of his life and make more money than you and I.
For sure. But he's not.
I get it. I understand. Listen, that's the thing with athletes is they just can't get it out of their system. I think Jamal Crawford literally retired today. He said he hasn't been in the league in 2 years.
He did.
but like it's not the worst take ever. It's not the worst take ever.
Okay. All right. It made me laugh really hard. And I was like, wait, he went to college here. Like you're saying, these guys want to look at Juwan Howard. He's not hard up for money. He went back to Michigan, who Sweet 16. Maddie and I both shit on them, said they don't deserve to be in the tournament.
Everybody was shitting. I tweeted that as well. I'm like, year in and year out, the absolute best bet in March Madness is whoever the experts say don't belong in the tournament whatsoever. Like this team, it is a sham that they're in. That team's going to the Elite Eight. It's like minimum. I mean, Syracuse the last however many years, they're always people just like, this is bullshit. Boeheim murdered somebody. You shouldn't even be in the tournament. And we're going to the Final Four.
Yeah, no, it is. You're right. It's always the team. We'll look at last year. UCLA was a play-in game. Just got hot, made to the Final Four. It's been really fun to watch. So there was 5 of the first and second round, 5 overtime games. It's a lot of overtime and a lot of close games on top of those overtime games. There really hasn't been many blowouts. And they said this was, Maddie was writing this, right? He's like, this is the year where he said he thought 8 to 10 teams could win it all because there's just so much parity this year.
Yeah.
Which games did he hit on?
Which games did he do well on, or which games did he? Well, he gave us Notre Dame in that who they play in the Alabama after that. He jumped on that one. I don't remember which games he hit right out of the gate. I mean, he was like, we bet, the Dirty Sports fan bet the Dons, San Francisco. And he was like, Murray State's going to beat him by 150 points. John Morant's going to come. That was a game. I think that went overtime or it went down to the wire.
Yeah, I think it went overtime. I think the Dons lost by 1. I think it was overtime.
Yeah. That was a fun game as well.
How about St. Peter's, man?
St. Peter's. Shaheen Holloway, dude. Seton Hall. I believe the last time a New Jersey team was in the Sweet 16, it was Shaheen Holloway led Seton Hall Pirates. Now it's a Shaheen Holloway led St. Peter's. All the rumors. I have a good friend of mine who went to Seton Hall. And obviously it's really close to New York City. So they're one of the teams like St. John's and, Fordham, Iona that you get in like the local papers. So all the New York stories are Shaheen Holloway will be the head coach at Seton Hall. Like the second their head coach leaves, which sounds like it will be this year.
Well, their coach just left.
Yeah. So the second this tournament ends, he's probably gonna make the leap back to his alma mater. But what a fun run. My favorite quote that he had post game, I think, was about, did you see the New York New Jersey kids quote?
Yeah, repeat it. I saw
they said something about like, you're this low seed, you're going up against these AKA giant schools, like with, do you guys ever get nervous? You ever feel like you're outmanned or whatever like that? He's like, my team is full of kids from New York and New Jersey. He's like, you think we get scared? He's like, We're not the kind of they should be scared of us. Essentially, he almost went full Breaking Bad. He almost went like, we're the ones who knock.
Yeah. And then
like,
that white guy in their
we're
team.
Supposed to be afraid of fucking some 2 seed. He's like, my team's full of kids from the New York and New Jersey hoods, dude. He's like, you don't want us showing up at your door.
Sure.
I loved it.
And the white guy, Doug Edert, off the bench.
Yeah.
Which Tug had a really funny tweet about that. Did you see Tug's tweet?
I did not.
If you asked every Hollywood writer to give this character a name, it's a picture of the guy. They would come up with, in quotes, Doug Edert 100% of the time.
There you go. Tug with a typical Hollywood screenwriters joke. There we go. Tug branding.
But like, it's crazy. They beat Kentucky, who everybody was so high on.
Yep.
Then they beat Murray State.
They're just ripping through Kentucky schools.
Only the third team ever that's a 15 seed to make to the Sweet 16. So I'll be rooting for them for sure. I think
Peacocks.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The St. Peter's.
Honestly, the Peacock app should just show St. Peter's games. They'd probably do better than what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I don't know a single person who has the Peacock app. Like not a single person.
I don't even know. Like, I don't either. It's one of those things where everybody has it for a minute, and then they're like, and then after a month, it'll cost you. We pay you 99 cents a month. You're like, no, I'm not interested. Cancel after a month.
It is funny, like the late bloomers. Like if you weren't Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu, I mean, obviously there's some other good ones, like Apple and HBO Max. But I'm saying like some of these ones, it's like the bargain bin.
Yeah,
like the bargain DVD bin at Walmart. You're like, yeah.
I feel like I feel like I hate to go full pre-Nostradamus, but at some point somebody's going to be like, hey, what if I take all of your streamers and package them under one price, and then suddenly we're just going to have a streaming cable network, and then kill yourself. We're back.
Oh, 100%. What basically is now.
Yeah.
All the a la carte is basically that. But the games have definitely been fun to watch. And
who are you rooting for at this point? Like, who's your rooting interests?
Good question.
I know you're rooting aggressively against Gonzaga because you've had Gonzaga beef over the years.
Oh yeah, I don't like Gonzaga. Although that Timmy guy was going off, but
Timmy, he's a good player. In that first game, and I tweeted that too. Honestly, I was just like, why is he allowed to travel every time he gets the ball in the post? He traveled every single time. I'm like, did I miss was there a CBA style negotiation between the NCAA and coaches or something? Like, is he just allowed to travel? He traveled every time in that opening game. I was like, what is going on? Why does he get 2 pivot foots in the post?
Well, I feel like he's been there, and he looks like he's been there 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is he literally grandfathered in because he's a grandfather?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, some teams that I'm rooting for, I'd say obviously St. Peter's. We all love the underdog story. I'll say UCLA.
Yeah, same. Although I'm just excited for UCLA, North Carolina. That's like a classic basketball matchup, right? College basketball matchup.
And that's another angry coach, Mick Cronin, Cincinnati guy, coach Cincinnati. Never happy. Like the fact that he's worked out in LA is wild to me because little pasty Irish guy, angry guy from Cincinnati, Ohio, just doesn't fit in LA, and he somehow is making it work.
That's why it works though, right? He's probably not getting lured out to the clubs. He's like, I got film to watch. You get like a Steve Lavin out there. He's like, yeah, can I get bottle service?
Sure. Yeah, no, I can see that. Miami's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
And that's a fun game right there. Miami, Iowa State, a 10-11 game.
Yep.
So, those are some of the teams. Providence, I thought Providence was going to get upset in the second round. I thought they might lose in the first round, and then they made it to the Sweet 16. So, there's a lot of fun teams. Nova, Michigan, that's a nice traditional matchup of two traditional schools.
I like Miami. I like rooting for Miami. I've got some history with Old Jim Larinaga. We covered his George Mason Final Four run years ago. I think I've told that story on this podcast before, but Pete Sestaro and I covered that run for College Sports TV, and we were just, going around doing bits, causing mayhem. Like throughout the tournament, people were just like, "Who are these two assholes?" Every time we would show up somewhere, we were doing like gag bits, so it became a thing. And George Mason was in both of our like in the region that we covered. We were in Philly and then we were in DC. So we covered them for 4 of their games. When Larinaga goes to cut down the net to go to the Final Four, he comes down. We're there with a microphone. He's like, "These guys are here still?"
That's hilarious.
First thing he says after he comes down off the ladder, "The CSTV guys are still allowed out here?" So rooting for Big Jim.
Yeah, no, they're fun to watch. There's a lot of teams. And again, with all the upsets, but with all that said, you have 3 of the 4 number 1 seeds.
And that was shout out to Maddie Goldberg. I was on the fence. Which 1 seed the biggest bet I went heavy on was which 1 seed was going to go down first. And I was on the fence if it would be Kansas or Baylor. Maddie nudged me toward Baylor. "Yeah, Baylor's definitely going to be the one that goes out first. It's too hard to repeat." So I went heavy on that. Baylor loses. Shout out to Goldberg.
I saw a stat last night. Here's a crazy stat. The last 5 years, the team that's won hasn't made it to the Sweet 16 the next year. So for 5 straight years.
That's a Maddie Goldberg lock. Is it hard to repeat? Yeah.
Can we talk about that picture he sent us? What was that? What was that picture he sent? It was it from his Instagram story? In for 50, chop for 425.
Oh yeah, it's from his poker tournament.
But there's so much going on here. He's wearing a Bachelor in Paradise t-shirt.
Oh, I never even dive too deep into it because the Maddie Goldberg things are always filled with Easter eggs. You're like, where are you?
Dude, I studied this.
Like, it's in the back of a furniture store in Van Nuys. What kind of underground poker tournament is this?
That's what it looks like.
Going through a Jennifer Furniture. You're there. You got to say you're here to buy a chaise lounge. And they say they don't have a chaise lounge. And then you got to say, "Put me on the list for when one comes in." And then they sneak you through a Murphy bed into the back of the store where there's an underground poker tournament happening.
That's what it looks like. So, I mean, dude, I did a deep dive. on it. So his caption against says "in for 50, chop for 425." He's holding up $50 bills. Or there's $20 bills. I can't tell. You can see where he's sitting at the underground poker tournament. There's a can of Coke in front of him.
Yeah. Not Pepsi. Pepsi's fucking disgusting.
He's wearing a Bachelor in Paradise shirt. He has like a disposable mask, but it's at his chin, right? You can see because
that's the thing with underground backroom furniture store poker tournaments. You got to make sure that we're COVID safe.
Yeah. So does that just mean he won 525, the chopped?
Yeah, well, it means he got down to however many guys and they agreed to just split it.
Oh, I mean, that's one of the best.
Instead of taking it to the end.
I mean, for him, $50, he turned it around to 525.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how happy he was that night.
I mean, he's barely smiling, but that looks like it's Maddie Goldberg in just absolute ecstasy.
Yeah. I want to know where he
when
got
I get home, I'm going to jizz all over that Tebow jersey. Yeah. 2 pieces of pie today, baby.
Where did he get a Bachelor in Paradise t-shirt?
I'm assuming Goodwill.
It's unbelievable.
Or like one of his sister's swag bags.
So you figure games. Yeah. So 4 days, it's about 12 hours of games a day. How many of those 48 hours? Let's just round up. How many of 48 hours did he watch of games?
Oh,
40?
Probably.
Unbelievable. I just hope not all the 1 seeds make it.
Yeah.
That Zona TCU game was wild last night too.
I didn't get to watch much of that.
I'm
one.
not a data wizard, but I am an investor in Invesco QQQ, which gives me access to innovations like optical track.
Why are they doing that? An ad just pops up. I'm looking at stuff. It's unbelievable. Yeah, no, it's fun. I'm looking forward to it though. Zona was fun to watch.
Yeah,
I'm excited. My Xavier Musketeers just hired their old coach,
old sweaty Sean Miller,
coming back, baby. A little controversy. I think he's going to be suspended a few games.
For what now? What is he going to send for? Some shit he did a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, well, that's why he was fired. So I mean, I haven't read it too closely. Some people even served jail time for what was going on in Arizona. The rumor is that he was straight up, it's allegedly, but it's never been leaked, that he straight up is on audio claiming he was paying DeAndre $10,000 a month or something.
Right. Well, honestly, that's the kind of coach you want.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? He's already there. He was great when he was there. Obviously, that was the stepping stone for him to get the Zona job. He was good in Arizona. This is exactly what I want. Yeah, cool. Bring him in and do what you want.
And then he'll do well and he'll leave for another big school again, and you'll be like, he's fucking dead to me.
No, we'll see. He turned down South Carolina.
Okay.
Which is a lot more money. That's a state school, right? So he chose Xavier, and I don't know if it's because he's already coached there and he obviously is familiar with the city.
Loves him some chili.
He looks like a guy who loves chili.
Absolutely. Looks like he's got chili coming out of his armpits.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up, I know it's just random.
He's like, make it super spicy. They're like, you sure, coach? You sure? It looks like your dress shirt needs to be wrung out. He's like, I like it spicy.
I bet he doesn't wear the tie anymore. That's what I was about to get to. No coaches wear ties ever.
Well, that was what I was going to say is 15 years from now, when I think back to COVID, the first thing I'm going to think of was like, that was the end of coaches wearing suits on the sideline. I mean, just in general. I mean, now you got Jay Wright. Jay Wright used to be in like fucking Jay Wright used to be in like a Armani suit with like $800 shoes. Now he's in warm-up pants, sneakers, and like a fucking a quarter zip.
But you're right. It just changed in the last couple of years.
COVID, dude. COVID. That was it. The NBA kind of set the tone. It was like the bubble. The NBA bubble, guys were just like, fuck it. We're not doing suits anymore. And everybody's just like, oh, we're not doing suits anymore. Pat Riley is just furious somewhere. Oh. Pat Riley is just, what do you mean we're not doing suits anymore? Because Pat Riley's about to start coaching again just to bring the suit back.
Now, if you see a coach in a suit, he stands out.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, now they all go quarter zip, athletic pants, athletic shoes.
All of them.
Yeah.
I kind of want to bring the ties back.
COVID killed the suit game.
Unbelievable.
I used to love that. Like my favorite thing about, and there's a lot of my favorite things about the Coach D'Antoni era in the NBA, but my favorite thing about Mike D'Antoni was like, no matter what sideline he was on, he was in a suit. He'd love to stomp his feet, and he'd be stomping his feet in like $500 dress shoes. I'm like, dude, you're gonna crush your shins. Like, what you're gonna have heel issues. Like, what are you tap dancing?
Yeah. By the way, I think early upset Houston over Arizona.
Okay.
It's in Texas. It's in San Antonio. You figured there's going to be a lot of Houston people there. That's an early upset I'm calling 5-1.
Okay.
But who knows? I just don't want Gonzaga to win at all. That's all I'm hoping for. So we got some breaking news right now. Looks like Matty Ryan is going to Indy.
Wow. So we had that was all the talk, because it sounded like there was a moment where it was Deshaun Watson to Atlanta, and now we're having like quarterbacks leave because of Deshaun Watson to their team rumors.
Yeah. Well, obviously Baker wants out, and I thought Baker was going to end up in Indianapolis, but clearly he's not. Looks like for just a third rounder, supposedly. It's not finalized. I'm reading this as it's unfolding.
Third rounder, and obviously the money that they'll save.
Sure.
But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like a Matt Ryan stan by any means, but I'm a Matt Ryan. I wouldn't even say a Matt Ryan truther. I think the Matt Ryan truth is there's a lot of layers to there's a lot of layers if you're a Matt Ryan truther, but I'm a Matt Ryan defender in that I think that a lot of people come at Matt Ryan for being shitty, and I think Matt Ryan is anything but shitty. I think this is the best move that the Colts made at quarterback since drafting Andrew Luck. I mean, I like it better than Phillip Rivers. I like it better than Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan with a running game and a defense. End of his career, Matty Ryan. I like it.
I agree. And obviously, remember, I was Matt Ryan as Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
And then the MVP season when they went to the Super Bowl. So look, I'm a Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm a Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer too, and I'm also a Matt Ryan. That's why I'm a defender, but not a truther. The truth is, I think he's as responsible for the Super Bowl as, the coach and whatever. And that's just what keeps him to me from being, somebody I considered elite at any moment, or somebody that I, would ever talk about. Hey, there was an era. This is a guy who you want to have the game in his hands. Has always had red zone interception problems. Has always let some games that they should have won slip through their fingers in essentially every year besides the MVP year, including, I guess, that year because of the Super Bowl. But still, a capital G, great NFL quarterback.
Well, again, another quality. He's not the level some of the other guys, but another quality quarterback
going to the AFC.
Yeah, defecting from the NFC to the AFC, and it's.
I mean, he got traded, right? He didn't defect.
No,
but
for sure. But you know what I mean? Like we're now to the point where, like you said, great running back, great line, great defense. Like you could argue who's about, in that division, obviously the Texans are a mess. The Jags we'll get to in a minute with the Urban Meyer stuff, and they have a young quarterback. But you could argue maybe Matt Ryan versus Tannehill. I think that's a whole discussion. Who's the better quarterback?
Oh, I think Matt Ryan's the better quarterback without a doubt. But, is his team good? I think overall the Titans are a better team, but this could certainly close the gap.
Sure.
I think Matt Ryan, in terms of to steal a Tug Coker, how dynamic he is compared to Ryan Tannehill. I just think he has, way more upside. And now that's, the end of his career is sort of looming. I wouldn't say we're there yet, but, as somebody gets older, being dynamic kind of falls is one of the first things that drop. But yeah, I think that Ryan Tannehill has been great in his time with the Titans, but there is a ceiling on Ryan Tannehill. Yeah,
I think we saw it in the playoff games, the Bengals.
Yeah.
So here we are now, again, with all these moves, and just shocked. Not shocked because of the money. He's getting $240 million guaranteed, which is the most ever by far. But to see Deshaun Watson go to Cleveland, he's never played in cold weather.
It is a wild decision that essentially he got to choose his team because he had a no trade clause. It is wild that he chose Cleveland to me.
I agree. I was shocked. I was shocked that he chose Cleveland.
Yeah. Especially with once I heard Atlanta was in the mix, I was like, oh, Atlanta, New Orleans.
Well, he's from Georgia. Yeah.
For a guy who played down there, exactly. For a guy who's from down there, for a guy who's played inside the last few years, for a guy who, it was already in the AFC, and we've talked about all these quarterbacks going to the AFC. The opportunity to go to where an area-ish that you're from, play inside in the NFC. To me, I was like, oh, it's going to be, Atlanta or New Orleans. And he ends up outside in Cleveland, I don't know. Did they just sell him on running back and running game and defense? Is that what they sold him on?
Well, and the money. I mean, I don't think people realize his $230 million guaranteed. The next most guaranteed is actually Aaron Rodgers at 150.7. And Mahomes' deal is only 141 guaranteed.
Right.
So, he exceeds the most guaranteed by about $80 million. That's how much money they're throwing at him. And if you look at that defense, though, I was reading some articles on it. They're all so young, though. That's the thing. It's like all these guys are 25, 26, 27. They're basically saying that defense is not going anywhere. Most of those guys are signed. They're going to have a running game. They're going to have a defense. Obviously, they got to deal with the Bengals, who just made the Super Bowl.
Who are loading up on their offensive line, Andy.
I'm really close.
They've listened to Andy Ruther. They said, focus on your offensive line. Sign offensive linemen. How many they signed 3 big-time offensive linemen this offseason?
Yeah, they're doing it.
Yep.
But
were you about to say you're really close to rejoining Cincinnati Bengals fandom?
No, I'm really close to start betting people that don't make the playoffs. Because this is how it happens.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
But you were they're missing an offensive line. Now they're addressing your offensive line concerns.
Yeah, it's just I got a feeling.
Woo.
You know what my feeling is? My feeling is that it's so hard.
Tonight's going to be a good night?
Yeah. My feeling is that the AFC is so stacked. You have to admit that Deshaun Watson that trade really changes that division, man.
Absolutely. I mean, for sure.
I mean,
they had Baker Mayfield there before. Like, if he lost the game, but it was close, he was running with a flag and staking it into the middle of the field and running wide receivers out of town, doing more commercials than he had fucking wins last year.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, I'm not going to count the last Bengals game because they weren't playing their starters, but Cleveland whooped Cincinnati's ass in Cincinnati. It's one game, but with Baker Mayfield. My point is, you now have a top. I don't know how you want to debate Deshaun Watson because he didn't play last year. Let's just say top 7, 8 quarterback. And then probably, a lot of us could argue he's top 5. But my point is it suddenly changes. You agree. Like, he's never had a team like this where he has a defense and a running game. So my point with the Bengals is this. This is exactly what happens. Everyone thinks it's their year. Dude, I kind of, me. I spend too much time getting off on reading the comment section on some of these local Cincinnati things. And I just love, dude, we're going to put 40 points a game. It's like,
oh yeah. Theory, I mean, listen, that's just in fandom theory, in general.
In theory, everything is an upgrade, but like, again, injuries and all these things. Look, that's why I'm saying, I think it's an interesting bet with people.
Yeah. But get yourself some odds, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I would want odds of like saying, hey, this is the year that they're supposed to be amazing.
Now's the time to take advantage of Randy Ruther. Be like, Randy, if the Bengals make the playoffs this year, I'll pay for you to fly back and go to their home playoff game. And if they don't, you give me your house. He'll be like, I'm in.
He would.
He's already in.
I think that's the move. It's either they don't make the playoffs or they don't win a playoff game.
Right.
That one's definitely safer for me because the odds in them making the playoffs are probably pretty good. But dude, everything's happening so quickly. I mean the Deshaun Watson thing. By the way, and I'm going to say this because I can't resist. The women who cover the NFL.
Oh boy, here we go. Canceled. No, I'm pre-canceling you.
Okay, I'm just going to say it.
It's like Minority Report. I'm pre-criming you.
I'm just going to say it. Then don't fucking follow it. All the women bitching. The NFL has never cared about women ever.
Oh yeah.
It's never cared about women. It's never cared. And if you have a problem with this stuff, I have no problem with you have a problem with it, but don't cover it. The Mina Kimes of the world who want to bitch and tweet about Deshaun Watson, you literally get paid to cover the NFL. Then don't cover it.
But the other thing is just, you know me, and my thing is always just like, I need consistency. I need 20 tweets for the Ben Roethlisberger, retirement tour. I need, basically I need every accusation. I need you to steal a line from the kiddies, but bring the same energy. You know what I mean? And this goes for all the people across sports. Again, I'll say it, and and not that I'm happy the guy's gone or anything. It's definitely a tragic end to the Kobe Bryant story, but we all just the majority of people, 99.99999% of people pretended that there wasn't a full-on rape case that went to,
trial.
And Ben Roethlisberger and honestly, a lot of the littler stories too. It's somebody said that to me the other day. How is Deshaun Watson signing the biggest contract ever and Trevor Bauer is just never playing again? And I'm are you unaware that the NFL gives 0 fucks and has always given 0 fucks? If OJ still had legs, he would be in a backfield right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Ravens fans, Patriots fans, Steelers fans, Raiders fans. It's a never ending story of, even as a Giants fan, I say it all the time. It's every anniversary, we're going to run out Lawrence Taylor. And of course they should. He's the greatest defensive player to ever walk planet Earth. But the things he picked up a 15-year-old hooker.
Yeah. No, exactly.
She was a child, a full-on child.
A child. And that's all I'm trying to say. I totally agree with what you're saying. Is you're right. Bring that same energy, because when you see someone like Deshaun Watson get signed and get thrown the most money ever, they all want to complain. But that's what I want to say. Dude, you're literally like the reason I referenced her, I saw the tweet, and then you just want to say you're literally on ESPN's NFL show. That's literally how you get paid.
Yeah.
Things I don't like, I don't watch. I don't read. I don't support.
And also, listen, I understand saying I like the NFL, but it's problematic. But you better be, again, keep that same energy. Say it on ESPN and bring it up about it. Say it about Jerry Jones.
100%.
Say it about what I mean?
Great point.
Go after some owners. You're going to take shots, take it across the board. And by the way, I am not defending Deshaun Watson.
Nor am I
at all.
In
fact, what I'm saying is this has been a problem in the NFL, and you guys, everybody, people have called me a lot of names over the years because every time the NFL does something, I love to remind people that all Colin Kaepernick did was have an opinion and he's blackballed from the league. And people are why is it always got to be? Because it's the epitome of the NFL problem. They don't give a fuck about people. They only give a fuck about money. Yes. And it's the ultimate proof is that all of the things that we just listed, from owners to players to coaches to whatever, have done over the years, they will justify them revamping themselves. They went through the legal process. They went through whatever, and they're allowed back. The guy who's absolutely under no circumstances allowed back is the guy who said something that triggered MAGA snowflakes into writing letters. Unacceptable. We need to come together in a Dr. Evil-like boardroom hidden inside of a mountain to agree no one shall sign this guy ever. 5 years later, 22 sexual assault allegations. Teams are playing ookie cookie to see who can fucking sign him.
Yeah, the most money ever. And that's 100% correct. When you put those two side by side, I do have to say Randy Ruther, aka Justin Wood, is not happy with me.
Why?
Can I just read what he put on?
He's in the YouTube comments.
Andy's takes in the Bengals hold absolutely no validity at all right now. He's like a fighter that just got KO'd who is now saying he will win the next time. The hell out of here. and for the record, Justin, I agree with as far as
put your house where your mouth is.
Yeah, I'm not basing this off anything. What I'm basing this off of is trends and the teams that we're always hot on. This has nothing to do with the Bengals actually at this point, because they did sign guys they need to. So I'll give credit where credit's due. Unlike the other professional team in this city, they are signing people and they are trying to protect their Ferrari. So kudos to them, but I'm just saying this has nothing to do with that. This is me just following trends.
Super Bowl hangover is a trend.
Yeah.
The NFL teams that make the playoffs, are and not making it the next year is a trend. Repeat division winners is a trend. Like, listen, I'm on both of your guys' sides because you have been adamant that their issue is that they don't have an offensive line, and they saw that, they hear it. They're not pretending it's not. They've signed 3 guys, like they've fully revamped their offensive line in one offseason. Do those guys work out? Who knows? Does every single one of those guys continue to be as good as they've been in the past? There's a trend there that doesn't work out, but they're doing all the right things. That's all you can ask for.
And I agree. We can all 3 agree on that. They're doing the things that they need to do. And
but also
that's all you can do.
They'll play a first place schedule. They're the team from the AFC that went to the Super Bowl. Everybody will get up for that game next year. There's a lot of factors in the Bengals next season.
Sure. And
Joe
like
Burrow
I said,
limped off the field in the Super Bowl.
Like I said, I'm stoked just in general for the AFC.
Now the Raiders.
I was about to get to that. I was just about to get to that.
I'm coming. I'm gonna do it now. I think Russell Wilson finishes last in his division again.
Oh,
bad news. So before we get into it, that's the bad news for the state of Colorado. The good news for the state of Colorado is that I will be there in April. I will be at the most important one that you guys need to know about is April 14th at the Vail Comedy Show, Bridge Street Bar in Vail. I often open for Eddie Ift. In this situation, I will be co-headlining with Eddie Ift, the two-headed monster. So if you are in the Vail area, or if you're planning a ski vacation to the Vail area, you can go on my Twitter, go a couple tweets back, or just look on my Facebook page, or just look up Vail's Comedy Show at the Bridge Street Bar, April 14th, me and Eddie Ift, Vail Comedy Show. Get your tickets now. Buy them early. They will sell out. If they sell out, we might be adding another show. So buy them now. They will sell out. And also, if you're in and around Colorado, weekend before that, we'll be at Schmiggety's in Steamboat Springs. Weekend after, we'll be at the Denver Improv. But those shows I'm opening. This show, I'm co-headlining. So, guys, what are you doing? If you live in Missouri, or if you live in Texas, or you live in Arizona, come skiing in Vail for the weekend.
Take a trip.
That's the good news for the people of Colorado. The bad news for the people of Colorado is every team in the AFC West is loading up except Denver, who has merely just gotten Russell Wilson, which is a nice move for them. It's a nice move for them. But everybody else is like, we already had a quarterback. Now we're revamping the rest of our squad.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that's a big upgrade for them. But Devontae Adams, you talk about an upgrade. Because Derek Carr didn't have that much to work with. I'm not saying he had terrible receivers, because he didn't. And obviously Waller is great.
And Renfro is an incredible slot guy.
But now you got that just alpha. And I'm shocked that the Packers let him go. I don't know what, that was Aaron Rodgers' guy. Not really changes things.
I mean, it sure seems like the thing was, wanted to sign him to a long-term deal, couldn't come to terms with him, franchise tagged him. Seems like, even though, none of this is being like openly reported in detail, seems like it was one of those Le'Veon Bells. Like, I'm not going to play for the franchise tag. You guys bought yourself some time to renegotiate this contract. But I guess in the end, it doesn't seem like they were going to come to terms. They got for him what they could. He gets reunited with his college teammate in Carr. He gets added to a team that, made the playoffs last year, have added a lot of guys this year, have added a brand new coach. I mean, the Raiders are going for it in a division where the Chargers are going for it, in the division that the Chiefs have been in the AFC Championship game for 4 straight seasons, hosted it, and the Broncos are going for it. The AFC West is like the scene in Anchorman where all the news teams come together. It's like a 4-way fucking battle royale.
And I think those teams are going to beat up on each other.
Safe to say.
But you know what I'm saying? I'll say it right now. The team that goes 4-2 in that division wins it.
Okay.
I think there's going to be a lot. I don't see anybody going 5-1. And I think there'll be a lot of 3-3s. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's going to be fucking bananas. That whole conference now.
Yeah.
Like looking ahead, I don't even know who I'd pick. I still like Buffalo a lot because I like Josh Allen, but it's crazy.
Well, listen, the playoffs are going to be nuts, but betting the Bills to be the 1 seed is like fucking a great idea, right? Because they're the one team in a division that seems like it's just super top heavy. The Patriots will be good again. You can kind of count on that. But are the Dolphins really going to be that much better? Are the Jets really going to be that much better? Whereas you have an AFC West that's loaded and AFC North that, has certainly the Browns have certainly improved. You could say that the Steelers haven't improved, but the Steelers are always just going to be in the mix. The Ravens are always going to be in the mix. You got 2, good coaches there. You got that's a division that just generally beats up on each other. You got the AFC South with the Colts improving, the Titans. I don't see either of those teams having an easier run as the Bills might have in an AFC East. And then obviously the AFC West just absolutely loaded.
Yeah. Well, the wild thing coming out of the AFC South is the story today from The Athletic about Urban Meyer. This is just nuts for me. Urban Meyer is arguably the worst coach hire of all time. So there's would you call it an investigative reported piece? It's not that long.
Sure.
We could call it an investigative reported piece. It's titled The Most Toxic Environment I've Ever Been a Part of Inside Urban Meyer's Disastrous Year with the Jaguars. And the main part that everybody's talking about was the tweet, which I think there's even crazier than this. Apparently, Urban Meyer did not know.
This is the best thing ever.
Who Deebo Samuel, Jamal Adams, and Aaron Donald were. And the quote on Aaron Donald is this: "Who's this 99 guy on the Rams?" Meyer asked one staffer during the season, according to a source. "I'm hearing he might be a problem for us."
Is that sarcasm? I would argue this. Even if Urban Meyer was Mr. He just wears blinders, nothing that happens in the NFL means anything to him. He is just a college football coach. You don't know about the best defensive player in college football. You don't know the guy at Pitt who is eating running backs. You don't know about him.
Yeah.
How does he not know who Aaron Donald is from college?
I don't know. It's nuts, dude. You're a coach. And to me, that's not even the craziest part of the story.
There's 2 of these Mannings. There's 2 of them. Cooper and Peyton. They're like, no, Cooper is not even. He didn't even play. It's Eli and Peyton. Wait. So I know of Archie. I've heard of him. Alexa, stop this fucking bitch.
The disrespect to Alexa. You've been canceled. So
Oh no, this fucking bitch was about Urban Meyer. This fucking bitch.
It does shed some light, I think, on what happened with him when he didn't go on the flight. Because to me, if you don't know who some of these star players are, it's like he didn't understand the concept of being in public and people filming him. You know, I tweeted that as a joke on Dirty Sports Twitter, but I think it's actually true. If you don't know who Aaron Donald and Deebo Samuel and Jamal Adams are, you don't understand, hey, a girl's grinding on you and it looks like you're trying to finger bang her. People could be filming you. You're in a public bar. Like it goes to show.
It does seem like his brain stopped evolving like in his Florida days of coaching. Like that was the last time he took on new information.
Yeah. So there's a few other tidbits I'll read from the story. I guess he was so pissed during a preseason game when somebody missed an assignment, which led to a busted play. He was so pissed even a day later. Meyer warned his entire team he would cut every single one of them if that ever happened again. And then
that's not how it works, coach.
And then he followed it up. And these are the quotes in the story. And do you know what would happen if I cut you guys?
You'd get fired.
You couldn't get a job paying more than $15 an hour. So now he's calling everybody stupid. And a player, an anonymous player who was a veteran is on quotes in this story saying, I lost all respect for him after that. That was in the preseason. And there's more stories like this. We all know a lot of them, but there's newer stories about him going off on players, him going off on coaches. He was threatening to fire coaches, players, all to their face in front of everybody. It's unbelievable.
It's true. I mean, we called it a terrible hire when it happened because it was a fucking terrible hire. It's insane that anybody ever thought that was going to be a good hire.
I mean, I love, let's not forget, he always belittled his staff to their faces, telling his assistants he was a winner and they were losers. Then demanding that these assistants in front of everyone defend their resumes. That's what's crazy is he's not just doing it to the players. He's doing it to the whole staff.
Right. He is the ultimate college football guy. Just no respect for people, like a full dictator, just like, you know, that's what these schools, I mean, they talk about everything wrong with the NCAA. Again, they treat their players like they're not humans. They're not allowed to like get jobs or like eat at the cafeteria after close or whatever. And then the coaches can do whatever the fuck they want and are paid like kings. And that's the issue with coaches going from college to the NFL these days is like, you just can't treat people like, dude, the guy you said can't get a $15, he makes more money than you, dude. He makes more money than you.
Well, he's just a dick. I would never say to anybody, regardless of the situation, you're just an asshole. Urban Meyer's just a dick. You're just a mean person, plain and simple. That's not how you talk to anybody. There's ways to motivate players and there's ways to tap into people's psyche. I get that. And different coaches have different tactics and different bosses have different tactics that they work with people who work under. I get that. But that's not it. You're just a dick, dude. You're just an asshole to everybody. And you're a bad person. You're just a bad person. And that means you've been a bad person your whole life. Or at least for a long time. You've been a bad person.
I mean, we knew that, right?
And to be honest, Urban, I'm ashamed that your first ever coaching job was a DB coach at my high school because that's where it all started. It's disgusting.
I mean, I blame you guys basically entirely for it.
It's where it all started. Unbelievable. What a jerk. He's just a jerk. Anyway.
Can we get to the most important NFL news?
Stafford?
Giants signed Matt Breida.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
I thought you want to talk Stafford getting an extension.
I love it. Happy for Stafford. Earned it. It's silly for the Rams not to extend him. I mean, keep him a Ram for the end of his career. Super Bowl champ, defending champs. All this in the NFC, all this, talk of the AFC, the AFC. I love the tweets. I love the insanity. So it's when I know that there's still mentally ill people out there. Who's the best quarterback in the NFC now? Is it Kirk Cousins? You're like, do you eat through a feeding tube? You brain dead mongrel.
It is funny. It is funny. I will say, like, Rams for a team from LA and also the Super Bowl champs. Nobody's even talking about them. They're like, oh, Brady's back. Rodgers still in the Packers. You're like, did we all just forget about the Rams?
Yeah. Right.
Like, I know,
as a low key half a Rams fan, 3/4 of a Rams fan, if they sign an injured OBJ back. It's insane. I mean, obviously they put themselves in a little bit of cap hell, but the cap situation in the NFL is now like, it's not even a real thing anymore when we're going like, oh, your contract's fully guaranteed as a bonus. So
what the NFL,
Matthew Stafford is now playing for $13 a game in salary.
It's turned into like how people handle their taxes.
Yeah.
Move things around here. We'll put this in a 401k here. We'll put this in a Roth IRA over here. You can put this much in for all that stuff, how people do it. That's basically, you're right. That's what they're doing. And look at their division. Obviously, the Seahawks are going to be down. The Niners, to me, is still a giant question mark with the QB situation. Arizona's good, but Kingsbury sucks in the second half of the season. It's just funny that like no one's talking about him. But good for Matthew Stafford now for getting AT&T commercials. How about those? Have you seen those?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford, you just won the Super Bowl. What are you going to do next? I'll probably get a bunch of commercial offers. Thanks.
Yeah.
While I'm at Disneyland.
Sure. So that's pretty, it's a pretty good move again that nobody seems to be talking about at all.
Yeah. And obviously, one of the big things for the Rams is that they signed OBJ, they signed Von Miller during the season. Von Miller already gone, Robert Woods gone,
traded. Yeah.
But I think that they're a smart team, and they, just like they did last year with signings like that in the middle of the year. It's like, we know where we're strong, we know where we're weak. There's always going to be a guy out there whose value drops, and because they're not on a great team, and you bring them in and you make them a piece of the machine. I mean, they're the defending champs, which, as we've said, it's tough to repeat. Yeah. But listen, I think the Rams are handling their building of their roster in a post Super Bowl. They went all in for a Super Bowl. We knew, like, if you're a Rams fan, you knew this was going to happen. You get the Super Bowl. I think they're handling the stay build as opposed to the rebuild pretty well so far. They
need Donald to not retire.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously such an important
obviously
piece for them. So,
and I think he'll probably stick around just to, so Urban Meyer can learn who he is.
Yeah.
He's going to stick around one more year. It's like, oh, Urban Meyer doesn't know who I am. Maybe I haven't accomplished enough.
I would love to know his reaction when he saw that story.
He's probably like, who the fuck is Urban Meyer?
Like, this guy doesn't know who I am. Do you think, like, at this point, I'm not even joking here. You're going to laugh, but I'm not even joking. Dude, after hearing the story on Urban Meyer, do you think part of him thought, will they know if I don't board the team plane? Like, I think he's so boomer gone or so full of himself. Like you said, these college coaches run just carte blanche. They do whatever they want. Part of me thinks he's like, dude, are they really going to know if I don't hop on the team plane?
I think he knew and didn't give a fuck. I think he was just like, I'm not coming.
until later.
Yeah. In my pants at the chili bar.
He's like, what are these things that people are filming me? Are they filming me? What are these things that they're putting in the front?
Where does the tape? Where does it hold the tape?
So something that felt way under the radar because of March Madness in the NFL and Major League Baseball signings. LeBron just quietly snuck up to number 2 on the scoring list, which is crazy to think that again was under the radar.
Trigger alert, trigger alert, trigger alert. From now on, whenever we talk about LeBron James in any capacity, we have to trigger alert for the people who are like, really? You guys are going to do it again? Yeah, well, he moved into second on the all-time scoring list. I mean, what do I say about LeBron James that I haven't already said? I mean,
yeah,
this was inevitable. The passing of Kareem, knock on wood, is
next year.
Pretty inevitable.
Barring injury.
Yeah. He's the greatest basketball player that ever lived, in my opinion. He's doing it in a year where the Lakers have, they're just so down. There's so much turmoil that surprise, the signing of certain guys didn't really worked out even worse than some people have predicted. Russell Westbrook is beefing with his own fans, getting mocked by other teams' players. The Lakers are doing this LeBron's doing this in losses to the Wizards, but death, taxes, and LeBron continuing to be elite until he's 105 are pretty much the only certainties in life at this point.
Well, I have a call because he passed Karl Malone, who was number 2. And it's funny. We just talked about earlier about things nobody wants to talk about. I'm going to play the call because it's related to Karl Malone. And for the record, we have talked about this, maybe not at length, but I think we've made a lot of references or jokes to this. So I'm just going to play this call.
What's up, boys? Super DirtBall Bryson calling from Atlanta about the end of the Hawks game. So with LeBron passing Karl Malone, now number 2 on the scoring list, shout out to LeBron. Why does everyone, and I mean everyone, skip over the fact that Karl Malone impregnated a 13-year-old girl named Gloria Bell when he was in college, and she gave birth to his son Demetrius Bell, who went on to be a lineman in the NFL, I believe, for the Ravens for some time now. It just blows my mind this man just got away with statutory rape and had a baby with a 13-year-old, and he was 20 years old. Just don't know why it's never talked about, or it blows my mind. I don't know. Just wanted y'all's thoughts on that. Stay dirty.
I mean, it's, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
It is. It's insane. I mean, I feel like the thing with Karl Malone, as opposed to, some of these other things that we're saying, like, oh, how come people don't talk about Kobe Bryant? How come people don't talk about Ben Roethlisberger? I think the one thing is, like, this happened a long time. There wasn't the internet. It wasn't the era of whatever. And also, Karl Malone from Louisiana, the amount of time between when that happened to now is greater than the amount of time between when that happened and going backwards, that it was completely acceptable for a 20-year-old to impregnate a 13-year-old in Louisiana. Like, it wasn't that out of the realm of normalcy for the time. But at the same point, Karl Malone goes on to be one of the biggest basketball players in the history of the world in coming years. You're shocked that it didn't come out and be more highly publicized, in, like, for a dream team, Karl Malone, for example.
Yeah. I mean, he was 20. She was 13. I mean, it's like, dude, come on. But you're right. Nobody, I still haven't figured it out. And we've talked about this again at length. I don't understand it. I've never understood how some people get this weird pass. Some people don't. It's odd. If you were, like we've said, if you were already caught a Big Ben or a Kobe, you somehow got the pass when then Me Too came out, which is odd to me. But the people who didn't have something public yet, and then it came public, got a harsher penalty as far as the public outcry. Like, none of it has ever made sense to me as far as how we decide.
Yeah. To be totally honest with you, I mean, I think what the number one thing that happens is it's all media. It's all for clicks. Correct. It's all whatever. So is anybody interested in the Karl Malone?
No.
Does the Karl Malone story move the needle now? It's been out there. It's been whatever. I mean, you know, we go back to like one of the things that kind of kicked off the era was, you know, the Bill Cosby thing that every single person knew about, but then like Hannibal Buress mentioning it at a show is what like revives it. It was like, why did that take the thing? I mean, you go back, I've talked about this, and I've gotten a lot of props from people who have been listening to my podcasts for years, but like we talked about the Louis C.K. thing on the Kooks, like first year of the, like 4 or 5 years before it came out, we're talking about, and then people are like, I remember you mentioning this 3 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, dude, everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
But then when somebody just decides like, oh, let's get the clicks. If Karl Malone became the head coach of the Utah Jazz, then they'd be like, oh, let's revisit this. Now there's a story.
Yeah. Well, a story I'm reading is like here's one. So the Daily Beast did a story when he got a statue
right
in front of
perfect.
So that was June 9th of last year.
Right.
So they do a long story on it. But again, it's like, I think you're right. It's Karl Malone. He played for Utah. No one gives a shit about Utah. Right. I mean, as far as like, they just don't, like, it doesn't, like you're saying, it doesn't get the clicks.
Yeah.
And it was so long ago.
It's in Utah. Like the amount of statues around Utah for guys that have done like it's next to the Magic underwear statue. You know? Like what?
So, you know, it's just one of those things that, I mean, Karl Malone's done a lot of crazy things. Like he was one of the guys who didn't want Magic Johnson coming back to the NBA.
Yeah.
Because he didn't understand how HIV worked in transmission. And he also tried to bang Kobe's wife. I don't know if you knew that.
No,
I knew that.
And he also, like, I think in these days of high gas prices, drives an 18-wheeler as his commuter vehicle and drives it to NWA wrestling events to, be a tag team with anti-vaxxer John Stockton. So, yeah, it's a wild existence for Karl Malone.
And if we want to go inside the Karl Malone, I don't know what's crazier, who's gotten a bigger pass, Karl Malone or Jimmy Kimmel doing blackface as Karl Malone.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
Right? Like that's another one. Like, just like, we're cool.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, which is always funny to me. Cause like he did blackface Karl Malone, like early 2000s. Like this wasn't,
I don't know about early 2000s. Right.
What was the man show on? Late 90s, early 2000s?
Was that even a man show bit or was that a Jimmy Kimmel bit?
That was a man show bit.
Okay.
It's probably late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently anything connected with Karl Malone, you just can't get canceled.
Yeah.
Like you get that free pass. Did you want to talk any baseball? There's been a lot of signings.
Well, I mean, yeah, Trevor Story to the Red Sox. That's huge. We talked about Chris Bryant last week.
Carlos Correa.
I mean, that's a fun one. I mean, to me, the
Twins are going all in.
To me, my favorite part of Trevor Story to the Red Sox, Carlos Correa to the Twins is the Yankees. I mean, as a Mets fan, listen, I have been waiting my whole life for this. I have been waiting my whole fucking life for this. My whole life. Since I was 6 years old, I've been waiting for the Mets to be the big brother, the Yankees to be doing fucking patchwork roster building with just like heavy strikeout or homer guys, while guys that they want sign with teams like the Red Sox and the Twins. Oh, I mean, it makes me fucking ecstatic. But Carlos Correa to the Twins. Yeah, Twins are going all in. You love to see it because, I picked the White Sox last year in that division and obviously was correct. But I picked the White Sox in that division last year because no one was making an effort to compete. It was just like, oh, you guys like the Twins and the Royals and the Tigers are just like punting on the season. You guys are just punting. So it's nice for the Twins to see the Twins kind of, we're reloading.
I do hate, something that I hate because it's like it's the rich get rich. It's the Freddie Freeman to the Dodgers. It's just like
it seemed like it was always going to happen. It seemed inevitable.
But like to me again, it's it's the same thing the Yankees always were. That's herein lies the problem. If you look at that lineup, and I'm not just handing them the World Series because we all know you have to play it out, but you just look at that lineup,
and you also know you need pitching.
Sure, for sure. No, for sure. But you know what I'm saying is you just say, okay, this is unreal lineup now that everybody's got to compete. How many former MVPs are in this lineup? Come on.
Yep. No, it's a legit line. But like at this point, you guys better go out and steal somebody's ace at the deadline and I've done it before. And I did it in the era in the 2015 season where we actually had it, but I was like, okay, but in a 5-game series or a 7-game series. And obviously health is such a big factor. It's such a big factor. Great lineup in a 5-game series or a 7-game series. Should my team be healthy and their team be healthy? Do we have a pitching advantage in every single matchup? I mean, listen, I know I'm a Mets fan and I know our strength is our pitching, but like that's playoff baseball.
Sure. You're right. It is pitching. It's all about pitching.
I mean, you get DeGrom 3 times in a 7-game series. You get Scherzer. You get Bassett. I mean, that's essentially, in baseball these days, you're probably only going 3 men deep from your starting pitching situation. And I understand that also starting pitch, you need a bullpen now because guys only go 6 innings or whatever. But I'm doing the fucking Matrix. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Now we're in the NL East is loading up, so they're back to the, back in the NL East goes to the Marlins. Castellanos goes to the Phillies. It's going to be like baseball. Same thing. The rich get richer. The guys who are spending, and the guys who aren't. But Dodgers lineup's crazy. But I saw Freeman coming. I'm not like, oh my God,
Sure. I think actually the Castellanos like 5 years, $100 million. I mean, he had a great year, but yeah, I also think like he's one of those guys who
he's not a great defender.
Not a good defender. He's not worth 5 years, in my opinion. Like you want to get 3 good seasons out of him.
Also, baseball more than any sport I've ever seen. Except maybe like the prime NBA guys, the guys who are due. But like you get these guys, they play so fucking well when they need a contract, and then they get the contract, and it's just like, well, I'm rich.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not saying that's who he is. I know nothing about him personally, but it just seems like, man, he sure did come on as an MVP candidate when he was like in Cincinnati playing for a contract.
Also playing in a small stadium, that helps.
Yeah. Well, he's in a bandbox in Philly as well, so that'll be a nice fit for him. And yeah, and at least I mean, Phillies are definitely trying to be. I mean, I don't think the Phillies are at the level of the Braves or the Mets, but they're trying. They're trying.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, we got a couple more weeks, and then we're gonna start the season, which is crazy.
So glorious.
Well, we have a fair amount of dirtball calls. 310-359-8365. Let's get to them. Here's one, March Madness related. I didn't play this. I was going to play this when we were talking NCAA tournament. So here's a conspiracy theory. I love the dirtballs when they come in with this.
Okay.
What's up, guys? It's Joey from Minnesota. I placed about 5 bets on DraftKings today and won a total of $4. I'm pretty sure it took 10 years off of my life. Anyway, my question is conspiracy theory time. With how close these games were, with teams like Arizona and TCU being so far apart, and Kentucky getting upset, and Gonzaga almost losing, I mean, how much do we think that sports betting has to do with this, with the placing of seeds? It seems like there should have been a lot more blowouts to me. I don't know dick about college basketball, but I feel like I should have won $100 today, and now I have nothing. So condoms are for Doris Burke's cock, and whoever that cuck was with her announcing that game, that was nails on the chalkboard.
Wow.
Stay dirty, boys. Peace.
Old school callback. Coming in hot.
Yeah. I like Doris Burke. You know that about me.
You've been canceled for that. Dude, there's no betting. It's just it's NCAA tournament. Like if you look at these lines are all so close, even when there's a big disparity in the seats. You know what I'm saying? Like
absolutely. I mean, I think that's just college basketball in general. I mean, the way these games play out, you see it all the time in the NCAA tournament. And the bottom line is there's so many factors to it. I mean, I think you see these like great strategic coaches with these mid-major teams right before they go on to, jump to some other school. It's it's that like a player staying longer in the smaller school with like a great coach who no one's discovered yet. And then next thing you know, they're off to like another school, and then they have recruits. It's like, it's just a parity in terms of not at all in terms of talent, but just in terms of like putting the whole package together, from coaching to recruiting to talent to, all the things. I mean, that's why you see whenever you have a team that like just runs through a tournament, it's like when you have one of those schools that is like a big school where they get guys to stick around, where they have a good strategic coach. But like, listen, Calipari, for example, it's like, does anybody think like he's a great X's and O's guy?
It's funny. I was literally just going to bring him up. I have his Wikipedia in front of me, and I was going to say, guys, Kentucky, for all the talent they've had, their title was 2011-2012 season.
Yeah.
Like
with, and they were just loaded. And he's made one Final Four in the last 10 years. Yeah. But I mean, you just see that. I mean, the thing with him is, and guys like him through the course of like sort of NCAA basketball history, is like, I don't even think he's attempting to be. He's not even trying to be like an X's and O's. Like, he's just trying to beat you on talent alone.
Yeah.
No,
I think you're right. I mean, look, like these games are just so hard to predict because a lot of them are young kids who haven't played together that long. And also the skill set, I don't know how much it matters, because you have teams that have a talent, but they haven't played together. You have the teams who have played together, and they just can go on a run.
And then you look, I mean, historically through the years too, you can have one elite player playing with a bunch of guys he's played with over the years. And if that player, a Steph Curry on Davidson, for example, a CJ McCollum on Lehigh, for example. I mean, CJ McCollum essentially beat Duke by himself. all the recruiting, all the guys that on that team that go on to the NBA, Coach K, all the X's and O's. I don't even remember the fucking Lehigh's coach's name at the time, but you take one elite player, he goes off. That's, you win you could beat the 2 seed.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So, I mean, I think it's just the parity of so many factors in college basketball, and just like an overall just like quality of the game. Like you just never see a team come out there and just like look like a well-oiled machine in college basketball. You just like don't. I mean, I would say we're like 15 years removed from that, where you're just like, man, this team is loaded and they've played together for a while and they've got a coach. You just like don't really see
I'd
it.
say the most recent one was Villanova when they just marched through the tournament. I don't know, a few years ago, and then they stomped in the five. I think it was Kansas or something. They won by like 30.
Yeah,
but they also, like you said, they had guys who played together, and they also had multiple NBA guys.
Yeah,
multiple first round picks who were sophomores or juniors. So they had played together, and they had the vets. But yeah, it is tough. Okay, so we discussed NFL earlier. This is an interesting call about the Packers.
Okay.
Which I'm looking forward to hearing if you agree or disagree with the caller.
Hey, fellas, Peyton from Omaha, Nebraska here. Just wanted to call in. Is it time that we start discussing that the Green Bay Packers are not a well-run organization? I mean, they've had 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time for the past 30 years and only won 2 Super Bowls. Everybody knows that. But the mega contract mishandling of Aaron Rodgers, whether that's, more on him or more on them, trading away Devontae Adams for 2 not that great picks last night, the mismanagement of the coaching staff for going on over a decade with Mike McCarthy, losing wide receivers and options that, Aaron Rodgers liked, drafting Jordan Love instead of a weapon. I mean, when is it time to have a conversation that, yes, they're historic and one of the greatest franchises in all of sports, but they've really not been that well run since the early 2000s? Thanks for taking my call, boys. And condoms are for Joe Bartnick. Let's throw it back.
Fucking Bartnick
Bartnick's just like a placeholder if somebody can't have one.
The guy just minded his own business, drinking a cup of coffee,
watching some Pittsburgh Penguins hockey right now.
Grenades are just being thrown into the guy's
thrown
house.
in his window.
He's like, what did I do?
I feel like that's your fault mostly.
What do you mean? My fault.
We're gonna push through. I want to get to this call. So here's the thing. I'm gonna have 2 takes. I'm gonna have 3 takes here. One of I somewhat agree with this call, mostly from the Mike McCarthy era. Like honestly, mostly that. That from a coaching standpoint, they definitely pissed away a good chunk of Aaron Rodgers' prime while also getting a Super Bowl. From the quarterback situation, because people love to do this, they've had 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and look how they've been mismanaged. Well, can we give them a little credit for having 2 guys that, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, not guys who were the first overall pick in the draft, not guys who were the second overall pick. Brett Favre, they got as a castaway from the Falcons. Aaron Rodgers, they have Brett Favre, and they're the team that goes and gets Aaron Rodgers, in the middle of the first round when everybody's like, what the fuck? Like, no one's going to draft this guy. No one's going to draft this guy. They're the ones that go get him. So you got to give him a little credit for being managed enough for having those 2 quarterbacks. Now, that can also be part of the argument against. Probably kept Favre too long when you had Aaron Rodgers sitting there. Probably wasted, a bit of the thing. Now, here's my hottest of hot takes. I don't hate them letting Devontae Adams go. And here's why. I don't know that this is something that Aaron Rodgers was by any means on board with. But I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the great quarterbacks of all time. I think anybody with eyes who knows the game of football could agree to that. Maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't know this about himself, but I believe Aaron Rodgers is good enough that he doesn't need a Davante Adams to succeed. He doesn't need a Davante Adams to still have an elite offense. I would almost argue that the difference between the Packers winning a Super Bowl and not winning a Super Bowl in the end of the Aaron Rodgers era is improved by spending your money on not receivers, on offensive line, on defense, on the things that are going to help you win championships, in addition to having a great passing offense, which you should be able to have with Aaron Rodgers and whoever the fuck his receivers are.
Yeah.
I hate to always go back to, everything goes back to like an Eli Manning for me, but like, look at that. Look at the 2 Eli Manning runs. Who's this receiver? The 60 catch Plaxico Burress on the first team, the undrafted Victor Cruz on the second team. It's like, I expect the Packers to have an elite passing offense with me, you, Goldberg, and Randy Ruther as his receiving core. And use the Davante Adams super contract money on building the other things that you need to win a championship.
Yeah.
So now how that affects, this is where, we get, this is sort of the hole in the LeBron as the greatest all time. Like, obviously I think LeBron's the greatest basketball player of all time, but he has the hole in his resume. LeBron, not the best GM. And I'll say it. I think maybe Aaron Rodgers, not the best GM out there, always wanting, weapons and complaining about weapons, or low key complaining about weapons. It's like, Aaron Rodgers, you're good. I get that you like to have guys that you can trust, but build a relationship with a guy who gives you, 3/4 of the production of Davante Adams at 1/10 of the money, and go and spend it on whatever else. Now, to be fair, I mean, it was a snow game, but they scored 1 touchdown in the thing they lost. So you could argue that the offense was a factor in their playoff loss. But to me, I don't hate Davante Adams leaving. The only thing I hate about it is it might piss off Aaron Rodgers, and a prickly, pissed off Aaron Rodgers seems to be something that they struggle to control.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. It all depends on what you view success. Like regular season wise, they've been basically, when they've had a healthy Aaron Rodgers or a healthy Brett Favre the last 30 years, they've been right there. Now, a lot of people argue that doesn't mean shit. And I agree to that too. What are you doing in the playoffs? And that's right. That's been the concern lately. They go 13-3 back-to-back seasons.
Sure.
And they're losing. So in the playoffs. So, look, define a poor run franchise. I think if you take a step back and you look at 32 franchises of the last 30 years, a lot would want to be in the Packers position. A lot. And
that's why I think, saying that there's been very poor Packer decisions that have flown under the radar is fine. But to say that they're poorly run when you compare them, I mean, just reeling, like I could reel off 15 teams that would have to be would have to suddenly turn themselves around and be competitive for the next 2 decades ever to be considered in the Packers class in terms of how they run themselves.
I mean, it's easy. Cincinnati, Detroit,
Yeah.
Cleveland, Jacksonville, Houston, Miami,
The Jets. The Bears, the Vikings.
And we just wrote off about 10. Like
the Cowboys. Did we do the Cowboys?
No, but yeah.
The Redskins.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's do a non-sports call.
Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, Andy and Joe? I was just looking for some advice on traveling, given the fact that both of you guys are comedians, Joe being on a series of tours and things like that, always moving around the country, even to Canada and some other places. I was wondering if you guys had any tips on being able to travel to different parts of the country cheaply. You know, whether it's certain airfares, certain deals that you guys spot for. You guys have any, like, tips and tricks that allow you to kind of, you know, beat the system a little bit and, you know, actually be able to go places and, you know, make money from comedy and things like that. So any sort of advice is appreciated. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. And condoms will always be for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
How do you travel cheaply? What are some life hacks?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I think what I do in terms of air travel, obviously I travel a lot for comedy. So it's not a like, oh, I want to go here. Like, how do I go there cheap? But I think in terms of airlines, like my thing is, and I'm airline snobby at this point. Like I essentially won't fly anything but JetBlue, Delta, Alaska, which is formerly Virgin, and Southwest. And I'm not the biggest Southwest fan, but in terms of traveling cheap, they go certain places and you have to line up like cattle, but you can certainly get some good deals. But me being an airline snob, what I do is I am subscribed to all of those, the airlines I travel, and JetBlue first and foremost is like, instead of having, you know, don't travel 20 different airlines and then every single email that comes through goes to spam. You know what I mean? Pick airlines that you actually try to travel. Like JetBlue is like my number one airline that I prefer to travel. And so like I monitor their deals. And then it's like, oh, right now we're running this. And because it's not coming through with like a barrage of other things that just say you're overwhelmed and you trash it. I'm like, oh, okay. Like they're running a special now where between May and July, I can fly to New York for really cheap. Like I should plan a trip during that time. And then for short-term stuff, like, I mean, hotels tonight is great in terms of like short-term travel. Airbnb, you know, like I love doing Airbnb as opposed to hotels. If I'm going to go place for a couple days, you know, be wary of like the cleaning fees and be wary of like whatever. But like, I would say just kind of putting like things like that together. Obviously we had a good rental car deal for a while there. RIP CT. But not that he's dead, but you know, like build it around a deal, like as opposed to being like, I want to go here, be like, oh, look, it's cheap for me to go here right now. I guess this is the time that I'll check New Orleans off my list or Vegas off my list or wherever the, you know, your deal is offering to send you.
And do the research. I always say, you know, I've traveled around. I was just I was trying to see how many states I've been to in the continental, the 48, which is most of them, I think, minus like 7 or 8 of the states. It's like Joe's saying, plan it around a deal. Also, they say Tuesday is the cheapest day. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. To
book a flight, to book a hotel, and do the research. So I've recently booked two trips. The one I just did, and then another one with my buddies that were going down to Chattanooga. And it's like, I do the research. I will make a whole list of, oh, these Airbnbs cost this much. go through VRBO. This costs this much. Because I'm more on that. Like the hotel thing, I'm out. Like I just stayed in a cottage right next to the lake. It's like, I'd rather do that. And you're right. They will kill you on those sites with cleaning fees. But if you do the math,
and that's the thing is like, sometimes it's not worth it for those if you're going for a day or two, but then it works itself out if you're going for a week somewhere, or if you're going for 5 days somewhere.
And especially if you're going, like if you're going with a group of like buddies or something or friends, when you go Airbnb, like you're going to have your own little spot, and that's so much better. And also, like, ways to save money is like when you go out or where you go out, like, be efficient or filling up gas. The states look ahead. Is this state
or like whatever you're going to do? Like a lot of times I'm going to golf, or I'm going to snowboard, I'm going to a baseball game or whatever. Like I'll be like, well, listen, that's a factor for me and my whole overall cost. So let me like save a little there, or plan a trip for a game that's going to be, I'll go see the Mets when they're in Oakland and not when they're in San Francisco or whatever, and there's a lot of ways to do it, but it's like, I always say, think of it as like an entire package. Like think about like the whole thing. It's like, oh, maybe if, you're planning it around like a date or something specific, try to find a way to think about it as a whole thing. Save money here and here. And if you even have to spend a little bit more there, maybe you're saving on tickets, maybe you're saving on airfare, maybe you're saving on travel, but you make it up for it in the other stuff.
Yeah. Just decide also what you want to value where you stay. Do you care about just having a bed? Or if you're going somewhere, do you want a view of the water? Or do you not care?
Yeah.
Do you want to be closer to the city? Do you want to be able to walk places? Like you have to prioritize.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, that's something too. It's like when I went to New Orleans, I stayed in a really nice Airbnb, but in kind of a shitty part of town, but it was central. So I could go in every direction for relatively cheap. Whereas like, if I was in the part of town that I really wanted to be in, it would have cost me a ton of money to go to the comedy club every day.
Yeah, exactly. So just prioritize what you want and what your, top things that you want to achieve or whatever that is. Anyway, look at this, giving out life advice. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah.
We got some more calls. We'll keep some more for next episode. 310-359-8365. I'm looking at, I'll let you choose. We have 4 calls. We have Jerry Jones conspiracy theory.
We've done a lot of Jerry Jones lately.
I agree. Non-major sports we like to watch.
Okay, interesting.
A debate about how to eat peanuts.
Is there a debate?
It's a CT call. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Let's non-major sports. Let's go with that one. Is that fine?
Yeah. Well, there's also been this like DS titles thing that's been on the rundown for 2 months. It's the new whatever the last one was that you had on the rundown for 2 months.
Oh, you know what that's a placeholder for? When we need content.
Okay.
I have an idea. Like
okay.
That's more of a mental note for me to create this. I'm going to play a game with you.
Got it.
That's more for me. Like, there's nothing going on right now. Shit. Let's fill 20 minutes of air.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's more for me. Okay. We'll do this one.
What's going on, boys? Kyle Aronofsky calling back once again from beautiful Toms River, New Jersey, home of the 1998 Little League World Series champions. Just wondering, what is your favorite non-major 4 sports in North America to watch and attend? And if you've been to any that really stuck out, I know Andy went to that U.S.-Mexico soccer game a couple of years back. I've gotten really into mainly Premier League, English soccer lately, and would love to go to a game. It just seems like an amazing atmosphere. But my buddies go to NASCAR races, some of these South Jersey folk, and I didn't know you could bring a fucking 30-pack of beer in there. You could bring your own beer there and just sit there for hours and drink beer in the sun. That sounds even better than, I'm not going to say better than a baseball game, but not having to spend money on beer is a massive selling point. So I'm going to have to attend one over this year and get back to you on how that experience is. That's it. Condoms are for Tom Brady, you disgusting piece of shit. You rape your kids.
Whoa. Well, it's funny that he says about bringing beer and say it's like it goes right into what we were just saying on the last call concerning budgets. And that's got to be a factor. Like if you can bring your own beer,
totally,
or your own alcohol, I mean, that's a huge factor into checking something out and also enjoying a sports event.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this even fits his question, but I do love watching baseball at any level. So like, I like watching minor league baseball. I like watching college baseball. So that's, I guess, that's sort of out of the four major sports. Also, I'm not like, I have no rooting interest in it whatsoever, and I don't follow it whatsoever. But I have attended some tennis events over the years and going to Indian Wells and going to the US Open. And I just like the one thing I like about tennis, and I don't really like, again, follow it at all. But the one thing I like about watching it in person is, you know, it's generally going to be a good weather atmosphere. And also the fact, and I didn't realize this until I started attending US Open events, like when I was, you know, post college, because I didn't really watch it on TV growing up, is like how much of it comes down to like one or two break games, you know, breaking somebody's serve. So yeah, it's pretty intense. I like going to tennis. I really enjoy going to horse racing. I mean, that's just you're talking about, it's all gambling, it's all drinking, cigars and booze and gambling. And so like I love to go to the track, just like generally, but then obviously in big, you know, go to the Breeders' Cup or go to one of the Triple Crown events or go to Saratoga or going to just Del Mar down here in San Diego. Like going to a nice track is always fun. Going to a shitty track is fun too. Obviously going to big horse racing events is always fun. And then that's really kind of it for me. Although I did attend Australian rules football when I was in Australia, and man, I would love to do that again, because that was some of the best shit ever. Yeah, I'm not really a motorsports guy. I don't really I have no interest in going to watch people drive around a racetrack. Like I'll see soccer. I mean, here's my thing. I'm not the biggest into the sport, but I'll check out the atmosphere. That USA Mexico game, like you alluded to, that he alluded to in the call, was pretty awesome. That's a top event. And I went to LAFC and I went to LA Galaxy. I'll go. There's a new team here. I think they sell out every game. It's a brand new stadium. You know, only seats like 30,000. They hosted a CONCACAF game recently. I would go to that. But like as far as like just random sports, I don't know, because I like the horse racing doesn't do much for me. Like I don't know, but like you know what I could watch? I could watch, like if I was live and I haven't really done, I could watch like sand volleyball. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like I could watch, obviously, especially if like it's attractive girls. Like I could watch that. I don't know, but I did not know the thing about bringing your own booze, which again, I would go to a NASCAR event just to people watch, because I like to people watch. Yeah. Like just to see what kind of hillbillies. All right. How many Let's Go bring
Brandon?
Your own? I was going to say, bring your own booze and just chug every time you see a Let's Go Brandon sign and then die.
It's just so not funny. It's just so not funny.
It's the epitome of unfunny.
It's just the epitome.
What's funny is like, there's a thing, and you know me, like, despite what I've been accused of from both sides accusing me. Like the one thing I always find funny is there's like a thing, especially if you like are like dive into Twitter on Twitter politics at all. There's like this consensus that like conservatives do memes better than like liberals. Like the liberals don't know how to meme. And I'm like, Let's Go Brandon is the literal worst meme of all time. So whatever your argument is, you lose because you have the single worst meme ever.
Well, that's an interesting discussion. I don't know about that. Yeah. Like I haven't looked too hard into that, but Yeah, I think that quote unquote joke is one of the worst all time. Like all time. And I just don't get it. Like I don't know.
I mean, my favorite thing about it is the and I said this when I was on stage in Key West, and somebody just yelled it out. For no reason, just like somebody yelled out, "Let's go, Brandon." I was like, aren't you guys the like anti-cancel culture, anti-censorship side now? And you're censoring your own thing? Like, just say fuck Joe Biden, you pussies.
Yeah. Well, there's that, and I agree with you there. And also, it's like, I don't know, like maybe this is just me, and I'm sure a lot of people would argue with me, to have like a hatred towards a guy who's like stripped dementia. Like I that's odd to me. Does that make sense? I also think that there's a whole other level of that. That's like he's an old man who shouldn't be there.
But also he has a speech impediment and has always. It's like, I don't even think half of the people that are accusing him of things, I think they just think like he has dementia, where I'm just like, he also just has a stutter. Like,
well, yeah, I just like, I don't know.
It's like somebody coming on. It's like somebody getting into our comments and being like, I hate fucking Matty Goldberg. Sometimes he's super weird. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's his shtick. I don't know if you know it. The dude's Matty Goldberg. That's the vibe.
I'm trying to think though of any other random sports. I don't think there is any. I will say I did go to my niece. I went to like a gymnastic. I don't really even call them.
I don't know.
Meet? Not gymnastics, meet. What is it called?
I think Karl Malone calls it speed dating.
Shots fired. That was actually fun to watch. Like just to see how good some of these kids are. You're like, holy shit, you're 7, 8, 9 years old. You're doing all this stuff. Like, meanwhile, I can't even touch my toes. Like, that's wild to me. This is pretty crazy. All right, that's the calls. 310-359-8365. Give us a ring. Give us a shout. Give us a question. We'll get to it next episode. Follow us on Instagram and Instagram and Twitter at The Dirty Sports. That's what I was trying to say. Go see Joe live.
You can follow me on all social media at Joe Prano, except for Twitter, where I'm at Fix Your Life. Please come to see some comedy shows. All my shows are at joeprano.com/shows. But the ones to mark down on your calendar: Vail Comedy Show, April 14th, co-headlining with Eddie Ift. Bridge Street Bar, Vail, Colorado. Weekend before, Schmiggity's in Steamboat Springs. Weekend after, Denver Improv. Probably going to add some shows to my calendar in late April for New York City and the surrounding areas. And then between now and Colorado, in and around Los Angeles. So come see a show no matter where you are, but especially if you're in Colorado.
All right, DirtBalls, that is the show for this Monday. As always, big thanks to everyone for supporting us. You guys have a great week. And don't forget, stay dirty.